This is the first in a series of tutorials outlining how to build your custom viewer form. We will focus on which form field types are supported and how they are best utilized. In Flywheel's user document portal, you can find additional details and examples in the Study Form section. In this video, we will cover each of the form properties and go over how to set up the field types. First, let's start with downloading the example JSON linked in the description. Copy and paste the example JSON into the body of your Create Form call for a new protocol. Inside the Study Form and Components headers is where we can begin defining our custom viewer form fields. Each field has a label, a key, a type, and depending on the type, it may also have custom values as well. The first type we will cover is the radio button field. This is a multiple-choice question, where the user is able to select a single answer that best represents their interpretation of the image. The label for the form field is the question, or text, you would like displayed to the end user as a prompt. In this example, we've defined the label to be Example Radio Question, Multiple Options, Single Choice. The form key is a shorthand version of the label that is used in defining conditional display logic for subsequent fields and is also the column header in the tabular export of read task data. Here, we have shortened the label to be X_radio as the key. In the type section, we have entered radio, which is how the viewer knows it is a radio button question. Next, in the form definition is the values section. This is where you will define the different options that the end users are able to choose from. In this example, we've defined 3 options, yes, no, and maybe. Each value or answer option has a value and label, much like the key and label for the form field. The value is the shorthand version of the label that is used in defining conditional display logic for subsequent fields and is the content in the tabular export. The label is what is displayed to the user in the form. Let's test our radio button question in the viewer. Note, I am only able to choose one of the answers. Moving on to our next form field type, we have an example of a drop-down field. This is very similar to the radio button field, but instead of displaying all of the options simultaneously, the user is able to open a drop-down and choose a single answer from multiple choices. This field type is best utilized when you have a long list of answers and you want to keep the form display uncluttered. Note, the type entered into the field definition is drop-down. Let's test it in the viewer. Note, all of my options display in the drop-down, and I can only select a single answer. The next form field type we will cover is Select Boxes. This field is a multiple-choice question where the user is able to select multiple answers that best represent their interpretation of the image. Note, the type is set to Select Boxes with no spaces. In the viewer, you see all of the defined options displayed. I am able to select multiple answers and unselect those I no longer want selected. These first 3 field types, radio, drop-down, and select boxes, are the structured form fields supported in the viewer form. For unstructured free text capture, we have 2 options you can utilize in your protocol. The first is text area. This is designed to capture longer inputs that could exceed a sentence. A common example is capturing any additional details the reader noted, but weren't explicitly asked in the viewer form. Note that the type is text area with no spaces and there is no values section. In the viewer, you see a multi-row free text box with the label or prompt defined in the form. Users are able to enter any free text content they feel is relevant. The other free text option is text field. This is designed to capture shorter free text inputs, such as a few words. Commonly, this is utilized as a data entry point if the user had answered other to a structured question such as, which of the following best describes the disease present? And none of the predefined answers is present, but another feature is. Note, the type is text field without any spaces, and again, there is no value section. In the viewer, you see a single row free text box with the label or prompt defined in the form. These are all of the form field types currently supported in the viewer form. Now let's see how the form JSON inputs align with the reader data in the review drawer. For tasks that have been started or completed, The field label and key are displayed alongside the answer label for structured questions, or the free text entered in the form for the unstructured field types. To learn more about viewer protocols and reader task data, check out our other tutorial videos at youtube.com/flywheel.io.